podcast is sponsored by Anchor. Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. It gives you everything you need in one place for free, which you can use right from your phone or computer. Creation tools allow you to record and edit your podcast so it sounds great. They'll distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard everywhere, even on platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Download the Anchor app today or go to anchor.fm to get started. Once again, you can download the Anchor app, that's ANCHOR, or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hey y'all, my name is Christian, I'm a millennial, and this is the Millennial Mind. Millennials get a bad rap for being lazy, non-productive members of society. We also get told that our opinions are warped and don't matter. This podcast is designed to express a point of view on the world as a whole, but from a millennial's perspective. I will talk about love, current events, pretty much everything that comes to mind. Come join me on this journey on speaking my mind, and I would love for you to speak your mind as well. Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of The Millennial Mind. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey of speaking my mind, and I hope that all of you are speaking your mind as well. I don't know about you all, but we're in June right now for 2020, so 6 months in, and this seems like it's been the longest 6 months ever in life. And I think it's because of everything that has been going on. Remember in 2019, we were just thinking about 2020, thinking about how this was going to be a new year, and more than that, a new decade. It would be a fresh start anew, all of this stuff. And then we get into 2020, and it's just tragedy upon tragedy upon tragedy. First, it was Kobe Bryant passing away suddenly in a horrific helicopter crash. And I was telling one of my friends that I should have known that 2020 was going to be crappy because of Kobe passing away. It was just completely random to me. And I should have known that 2020 was gonna go straight to hell. But not only did Kobe pass away in the helicopter crash, but his 13-year-old daughter, which Kobe passing away was already horrific, but his daughter passing away as well, being on the helicopter with her dad, not really having a chance at life, it just made it even more horrific. Then from that, we had COVID-19, which COVID-19 took so much from us. It took our daily way of living, everything from going to restaurants, going to grocery stores, going to work has now changed. The majority of the 6 months of 2020 were spent inside because pretty much everyone was forced to stay at home because of this pandemic that happened. And then, even during the pandemic, we're going through racial tension with Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd. Their deaths by police officers have just caused there to be a lot of racial tension, a lot of racial riots, which, of course, I believe we're at the tip of the iceberg for that. But it's just been a lot going on, a lot of tragedy, a lot of losses. With COVID-19, that, like I was saying, it took a lot from us. One of those things, it may have taken a physical loss, or produced a physical loss, I should say. Some people may have lost family members. Some people may have lost their good health because of contracting the disease. Others lost as well. It may not have been physical. It may have been more symbolic, and that's something that I want to talk to you all about today, just really briefly. There is something called symbolic loss, which results in symbolic grief. And you're probably wondering what that is. So many different losses in life engender grief reactions. Loss that is not tangible through a death is referred to as symbolic loss. And examples of symbolic loss are divorce, placement in foster care, retirement or losing a job, and diagnosis of a serious disability or chronic illness. And then that can result in symbolic grief. That is, you are grieving for someone or something that was standing in the place of someone or something you really wanted. So with COVID-19 and everything that it has done, it took away a lot from people. Like I was saying, not just physically, but emotionally. It took away our plans. It took away our goals. Like, there are high school seniors, 8th graders, kindergartners, people who were graduating college, people who were graduating graduate school or from law school, medical school. They all had the hope and dream that in 2020 they were going to graduate with their degree based on the hard work that they put in. And now they can't even have a graduation. That is symbolic loss. And it is okay to grieve about that loss because that is a loss. Maybe it's not physical, but it's still a loss, whether it's emotional, mental, etc. So it's okay to grieve. There are individuals who plan a wedding for 2020, and that wedding was either canceled or perhaps the wedding was reduced as far as the amount of people that had to be there. That is a loss. That is a symbolic loss. It is okay to grieve about you not having the wedding of your dreams. There are people who have lost their jobs. They have lost their jobs and they are unemployed. They're trying to figure out how they're going to get their next meal. They're trying to get unemployment, but the unemployment office is full of people who are there for the same reason that, you are. That's a symbolic loss. It is okay to grieve. There are people who have delivered, or I should say women that have delivered children during this time in a hospital room with just them and the doctor, and the father of their child could not be in the room with them. That is a different kind of birthing plan that I'm sure that they weren't expecting. That is a symbolic loss. It is okay to grieve about that. There is so many examples that I could give, even myself. I'm turning 30 this year. I'm turning 30 next month, and I had big plans. I had plans to dress up in a formal dress, go to a symphony or an orchestra with my husband, have a nice dinner, spend the night in a really nice hotel. Clearly, that is not happening. And even before my actual birthday, I had plans of doing something every month up until my birthday. So every month in 2020 up until my actual birthday. that didn't happen either. It's okay for me to grieve. And I know sometimes it may seem selfish. It may seem selfish for you to grieve over a symbolic loss because it's not a physical loss. I know that you're thinking that people have actually lost their lives or have lost family members because of everything that is going on. But grief is grief, whether it's physical or whether it's symbolic. It is okay to grieve. These are losses. These are losses that have affected your life in one shape or form. And that shouldn't be diminished just because it's not a physical loss. So it is okay to grieve. I've heard of people who, there was actually this podcast that I listened to where they were supposed to get a new house built from the ground. And they had a loan that was specifically for them prior to COVID-19. After COVID-19 hit, that loan was no longer available and they could not get their house. That is still a loss. They were entitled to grieve that loss. So what I'm basically saying is that even though 2020 has dealt us some bad apples, and really rotten apples at this point, some people have had a physical loss. Some people have had a symbolic loss. It's okay to grieve. Make sure you take the time to grieve these losses that you're having, because you don't want that pent up grief to just bubble up inside and then you just go off the handle one day and you're trying to figure out why. Make sure that you grieve properly. Just like you grieve properly for a physical loss, someone dying, someone close to you that is dying, you do the same thing for these symbolic losses that you have. So make sure that you do that. Well, that's all that I have for you guys today. I hope that you've enjoyed this episode. Make sure that you like our Facebook page, The Millennial Mind, and also like our Instagram page, _Millennial Mind. And as always, I have a quote for you guys, and it is as follows. The world is full of sorrows, and everyone living under the sun must experience it. There is no perfect way of escaping grief, but time heals all wounds. Mourning is a good thing, and as time passes by, the pain will slowly fade away. God will always make things right again. So true. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and until next week, I will see you soon.